is indeed a pleasure to be with you all today. Certainly the topic of today's webinar is regulatory intelligence. My name is Trina Jackson. I won't take up a lot of time going into my background, but I do have some regulatory affairs experience, also quality assurance, and I've been in the pharmaceutical industry for just under 20 years now, as working for your large pharma, small pharma, as an independent consultant, and also for the CRO industry as well. We will move forward with our learning objectives. Today's learning objectives are to define the regulatory intelligence and its importance to companies, identify multiple sources of regulatory intelligence, monitor the constantly changing regulatory landscape, break down a regulatory research question into researchable units, and conduct the research using a regulatory intelligence database, learning how to do that, summarize and present regulatory intelligence findings back to a team. So these are some of the objectives for today. So we'll start off talking about what is regulatory information. That will be key to moving forward. So as per the definition of DIA's, the Drug Information Association's Regulatory Intelligence Network Group, which is what they commonly refer to as a SIAC, a Special Interest Area Community, the definition that they came up with is the act of gathering and analyzing publicly available regulatory information. This includes communicating the implications of the information and monitoring the current regulatory environment for opportunities to shape future regulations, guidance, policy, and legislation. So that's a lot there. But one of the key things I'd like to draw your attention to in this definition is the act. So it is an active process in terms of regulatory information and gathering and analyzing publicly available information. So those are some of the key things that I think are important in this particular definition. So we're going to talk about this more as we go along. But basically, it's also the basic building blocks of the intelligence that you'll be gathering within your company. It also is composed of raw information, and it can be oral, written, published, unpublished. There really are no constraints there on what it has to look like. So it's really important to understand also the difference between information and intelligence. We just talked a little bit about regulatory information. When we talk about the difference between that and intelligence, intelligence is active and related to analysis and surveillance, and information is the raw data used to create that intelligence. So, for example, if we ask the question, what do we know about competitor products? We would gather information, meaning the raw data, about the competitor product. Some examples of that information may be a trade name in all countries that you're interested in, route of administration, labeling information, a list of pivotal clinical trials, drug class, submission and approval dates in all countries, types of submissions. So that would be an example of the information that you may gather to answer that question about what we know about our competitor products. The intelligence part of it is where you generate a regulatory intelligence report, which would include an executive summary reviewing competitor products on the market and under development. And you would also look at the current regulatory landscape and also submission routes. So it's a little bit more involved and is an application of that information that has been gathered. That would be the intelligence part of it. So continuing on with what is regulatory intelligence, as we've talked about it being the act of monitoring the current regulatory climate, gathering and analyzing that information